everybody. Today we're going to be replacing the ball joints as well as the tie rod ends on the Subaru. So these are the tools I used to do the work. Screwdriver is good for helping with the cotter pins, as well as you're going to need some needle nose, helps get the cotter pins out. A ratchet. You're going to need a couple 19mm wrenches, 14mm wrench, as well as this is a 5mm Allen head. You'll use that to loosen the stabilizer end links. I used the breaker bar to break the lug nuts free. An extension's always good. I have a 14mm socket. This is for the stabilizer end links, as well as the ball joint bolt that holds it in place. I have a 19mm socket. This I use for the lug nuts. I use this 19mm for the castle nuts. If you have coilovers, you're going to need the spanner wrenches to do it the way I do it. You can use a pry bar instead of doing it the way I did it, especially if you have the stock coil springs. You can pry down on the lower arm. It's a little bit easier if you can get the leverage to pull down on the arm, because then you don't have to mess with the shocks at all. You're also going to want a torque wrench, one that goes up to at least 66 foot-pounds, because that'll be for the lug nuts. I like this for the lower torques, so I also use this one. The rubber mallet I used to help get some of the cotter pins out, as well as I like to knock these spanner wrenches to get it as snug as possible. That way they don't come loose. It's always nice. It's not required. The last tool you're going to need is the tie rod end remover, shown here. I use this for both the ball joint and the tie rod ends. I rented this at O'Reilly's down the road. Ended up costing nothing. And you know what you need. We'll get started on the removal. I got the wheels chalked. We're going to get this thing up in the air, get the tire off, and we'll take a look. 19mm socket for the lug nuts. We're going to be replacing this right here, as well as this right here. First thing we're going to want to do is get this cotter pin off of there. Moving. Now what I am going to do is actually disconnect this sway bar as well. That'll allow this arm to drop down. I'll do this in place. This out. Loosen this. So what I'm going to be using is these white line lower ball joints as well as tie rod ends. Those with new cotter pins. Now this will be interesting. Oh. There you go. A cone. You can see this one's ribbed. This will push down as you push this on. Try to get this in here, clean any rust or dirt that's built up in there. See if I can get this thing to work. Right. Now here's going to be the real pain, is trying to get this back over into that. I'm going to have to do, because this thing is pretty tough to drop down, so I'm going to have to undo the preload on this, drop the spring down so I can go ahead and lift this whole knuckle up, get this thing lifted up high enough and drop it down in the lower control arm. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and give myself a mark where I'm at. I don't know how much I tighten these things, they seem to come loose. Alright, so that did the trick. Had to undo all the preload, lift this up and just kind of move it over and work it in. Go ahead and get the castle nut on, make sure it stays in place. So this bolt is 37 foot-pounds. This castle nut gets torqued to 22. Locate the hole for the cotter pin. Let's see if pliers. Next we're going to do the tie rod ends. Do is go ahead and mark again this. Now once you do the tie rod ends, you're going to want to do an alignment, because even if you mark it and set it real close, the smallest adjustments will alter the alignment, and most likely it's going to drive kind of funky. So going to get this loosened. So that worked. This thing blew right off of there. Next we're going to have to loosen this. One to hold it, the tie rod in itself, the other to hold this threaded part. There we go. Now once you loosen that, this thing will thread right off. So look to be the same. This is designed for lowered cars, so this should help out. And thread this back on. this will get torqued to 19.9 foot-pounds. Right there. Now I'm gonna actually go this way. Get a little easier. Huh. I did screw up and I forgot to put this washer on, so I'm gonna have to take this back off. Gotta go ahead and get the sway bar end links back on. Go ahead and jack this back up a little bit just to help get it lined up. There we go. All we could do, let's go ahead and drop this down. Go ahead and get this set back in place. Give them a little knock with this wrench. This is wrapped up. Go ahead and get the wheel back on, torque down the lug nuts, and we can get started on the other side. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm just loosening it and dropping it down. Again, we'll jack this up a little bit.
It's like a big one into your head.
This back on there. Get the castle nut started. thing back on. It's torqued 19.9. We got this torqued 22. Got that torqued 37. It's gonna go like that and like that. Let's get the wheel back on and we're good to go. So this is all wrapped up for today, guys. Hope this helps out. Have any questions, concerns, comments, leave it down in the comments and try to get to it. Thank you.